In the quiet aftermath of a century and a half, the faces of the Confederate South still gaze out from the past, silent, stoic, and forgotten. These were men of a divided nation, farmers, teachers, sons, and fathers, drawn into the storm of the American Civil War. Their photographs, once captured in stark black and white, have faded with time, their humanity nearly lost beneath the dust of history. But today, that silence is broken. Through the art of digital restoration and colorization, we return to their world, not to glorify or condemn, but to see the weariness in their eyes, to see the youth behind the beards, to remember that these were people, not just soldiers in a long-forgotten war. This is the Civil War Reimagined, lost Confederate portraits restored in color. 3rd Corporal William Aaron, Company H, 52nd Georgia Infantry. Aaron enlisted in Morganton, Fannin County, Georgia, on 4 March 1862. He was captured on 16 May 1863 at the Battle of Baker's Creek, Mississippi. He later ended up taking the oath of allegiance in May 1864 and was released north of the Ohio River, thus ending the war for him. Private William Thomas Lord, Company E, 28th Georgia Infantry. Lord enlisted on 4 March 1862 in Greenville, Georgia. He was wounded in September 1863 at Morris Island, South Carolina. He suffered a gunshot wound to the leg, breaking the leg. Lord survived the war, moved to Alabama, and died there in Crenshaw County in 1915. 1st Sergeant Augustus Hezekiah Finney, Company E, 3rd Georgia Infantry. Finney enlisted at Fort Valley, Georgia, as a private on 27 April 1861, later being promoted to 1st Sergeant. He was slightly wounded in May 1864 during the Battle of Chancellorsville, Virginia. Later in the war, it appears he was commissioned as a lieutenant and joined Company B of the 8th Georgia Cavalry. Comm Sergeant Rufus King Reeves, Company K, 3rd Georgia Infantry. Reeves enlisted as a private on 24 April 1861 in Athens, Georgia. In August 1863, he was detailed to serve as the regimental commissary sergeant. 1st Sergeant Benjamin Gideons Liddon, Company D, 3rd Georgia Infantry. Liddon enlisted as a sergeant on 24 April 1861 in Madison, Georgia, as a sergeant, later being promoted to 1st Sergeant. He was killed at the Battle of Petersburg, Virginia, on 30 July 1864. Private John Locke Piles, Company C, 23rd Georgia Infantry. Piles enlisted on 31 August 1861 at Camp McDonald. He survived the war, moved to Texas, and died there in Grayson County in 1913. Private John McLeod/McLeod, Barnesville Blues, Company D, 3rd Georgia Infantry Battalion, and Company B of the 4th Battalion Georgia Sharpshooters. McLeod enlisted on 29 June 1861 in the 4th Battalion Georgia Sharpshooters. In 1865, he was transferred to the 3rd Georgia Infantry Battalion. He was wounded in the fall of 1864, suffering a gunshot wound which resulted in the amputation of his 3rd and 4th toes. Upon recovering, he joined the 3rd Georgia Infantry Battalion. Private Sebastian Cabot Pullen, Company D, Phillips's Georgia Legion. Pullen enlisted on 2nd August 1861 in Cobb County, Georgia. His horse was valued at $175 and his equipment at $40. After the war, Pullen moved to Alabama. He died in 1890 and is buried in Boaz, Marshall County, Alabama. Private Samuel House Braswell, Company A, 38th Georgia Infantry. Braswell enlisted on September 26, 1861 in DeKalb County, Georgia. He was wounded in August 1862 at the Battle of Second Manassas. He was wounded yet again in May 1863 during the Battle of Chancellorsville. It seems this second wound, which he took to the knee, incapacitated him for most of the rest of the war. Private Thomas E. Peterman, 2nd Company I, 38th Georgia, and Company A, 60th Georgia Infantry. His military records state that he enlisted on 10 May 1862 in Franklin, Alabama. He was wounded on 28 August 1862 at the Battle of Second Manassas. On 1 March 1863, he transferred to the 60th Georgia Infantry. He was wounded at the Battle of Chancellorsville, resulting in the loss of much of the use of his left leg in May 1863. In March 1864, he was detailed as a guard at the Ordnance Department in Macon, Georgia, as a result of that wound. First Lieutenant John Seaburn Plemons, Gilmer Boys, Company D, 11th Georgia Infantry. Plemons, a farmer born in North Carolina, enlisted on 3 July 1861 in Atlanta as a private, later becoming first lieutenant. He suffered absence due to illness during his service, as was commonplace. He was wounded in the hip at the Battle of Malvern Hill, Virginia in 1862, which appears to be his only wound. He was paroled at Appomattox in April 1865. Private Henry Columbus Clay, Walton Infantry, Company H, 11th Georgia Infantry. Clay enlisted on 3 July 1861 in Atlanta. He was shot in the forehead at the Battle of Gettysburg in July 1863 and was subsequently captured on 5 July 1863. He spent time in various hospitals in and around Gettysburg before being paroled. The wound ended the war for him. Clay did survive the war and died in 1928. He is buried in Loganville, Walton County, Georgia. Private Henry Putnam Long, Gilmer Boys, Company D, 11th Georgia Infantry. Long enlisted on 3 July 1861 in Atlanta. A resident of Gilmer County, Georgia, he was a blacksmith by trade and worked on extra duty, working as such in the military. He eventually served as the brigade blacksmith. And, as with most soldiers, he suffered absences due to illness during his military career. It appears he deserted in January 1864 and was dropped from the regimental files after that point. Private John Buchanan, Mrs. Joe Brown's, Company F, 11th Georgia Infantry. Buchanan, born in Scotland and a machinist by trade, enlisted on 17 July 1861 in Atlanta. He enlisted for the war but was given a discharge from the military on 5 August 1862, probably due to ill health, as he had spent several months in various hospitals prior to that time. Captain Matthew Talbot Nunnally and First Sergeant Josiah Elam Nunnally, Walton Infantry, Company H, 11th Georgia Infantry. Matthew was a resident of Walton County, Georgia. In 1859, he was appointed to West Point, but he resigned and returned home when the war began. He enlisted on 3 July 1861 in Atlanta as the captain of Company H. He served until he was killed on 2 July 1863 at the Battle of Gettysburg. Josiah enlisted on 3 July 1861 in Atlanta as first sergeant. For a short time, he was detailed to serve in recruiting service. It appears he was wounded at the Battle of Second Manassas in August 1862 and has very few military records after that point. Josiah survived the war, died in 1908, and is buried in Walton County, Georgia. Private Joshua Hamilton Sitton, Gilmer Boys, Company D, 11th Georgia Infantry. Sitton, a resident of Gilmer County, Georgia, enlisted in Atlanta on 3 July 1861.
He served for most of the war as a teamster and was paroled at Appomattox.
This has been the Civil War Reimagined, Lost Confederate Portraits Restored in Color. Thank you for watching and for remembering.